A warm welcome to you, and it's another exciting time on Integrity Radio, a platform where we talk everything maritime. I am your host, Folashade Adiramu. Well, on today's edition of the program, powering Nigeria through the blue economy, opportunities and options for the Tinubu administration is what we will be talking about. And to join me in that conversation, Professor Samuel Odewunmi is a former Dean, School of Transport, Lagos State University, LASU. It's so good to have you join us today, sir.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Okay, so to begin with, I know years back, 9 years ago, on the lips of many in the maritime industry is for us to have the marine and blue economy. And looks like the new administration heard their voice, because a few weeks back, they actually established the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy. How do you feel with that announcement?
Well, it's a step in the right direction. That economy is worth it. The time for it has come. If you know, the ocean is 75% of the world in terms of geographical space. In terms of resources, there are more lives and minerals in the ocean times 100 of what you have on land. So you are not even scratching the tip of the resources available on the sea. But getting your administrative structure in place to exploit it, because the marine and blue economy that is in place now is for exploitation.
Okay. How
do we get all the resources that is there, or some of it, because we cannot get all.
Everything.
2, how do we preserve them? Because sustainability is the key word these days. How do we continue to enjoy it, yet they will not be destroyed? Then how do we renew them to ensure that they are there for our generation and the generation unborn? Because the resources of the earth is not over a single generation. This is something that was given to us by our forefathers, and we must give to those who are coming. And because our understanding of the ocean is still very, very limited. Like somebody who are mocking scientists at an international conference that I was about just 2 months ago, that we're already exploring Mars, we're already exploring the moon, but we know just very tiny percentage of what is in our nose here, which is the ocean. So it's the right step in the right direction. My only worry is that it is coming at a time when Nigerians are impatient. Because the introduction of that arrangement now will slow down things, because you know it's like you are breaking up Ministry of Transportation.
Exactly.
Adding things here, adding things. So I do not envy the minister, because he's a pioneer minister. Yeah, they are now both in the same house in Abuja, sharing the same permanent secretary, sharing. So the speed which we want may not be, but thank God there are some agencies that are already operating in the, like Nigerian Port Authority, like NIMASA. So quickly they must get their act together to get a template for them to move quickly. But I will give them about 6 months before they can be able get to cracking.
But then we still have some people in, some stakeholders saying things like, looks like the ministry is too big, like the scope is large. So how do they get to, work with this kind of large scope?
How can they say it's too big? Just a while ago, everything was under transportation.
Exactly.
Except 1 or 2 things that are being added now. So now when you now break it off, the part cannot be bigger than the whole. It is the synergy, the similarity for operation, that it is the key. But as some people are saying it's too big, some people are saying you are making transportation too small. Neither is.
Even some are still of the opinion that with the way it is now, this transport sector will look like much attention is not being paid to it compared to what we had in existence before now.
No, look, it's not a mutually exclusive thing. It's not neither nor. All of them deserve the attention they ought to get. There are those who will say, look, the entire transportation sector should be under one umbrella still, and then have departments under transportation. That happens elsewhere.
Yes.
So it's like football, whether you play 6-3-3-4 or 4-3-2 or 5-6. So all those are combinations. You will look at your own arrangement. You see which one will give you the best formation.
All right.
America has almost everything under transportation. So, but in our own case now, once upon a time, aviation was under transportation. We have yanked it off.
Yes.
And recall that road construction that should be under transportation is under Ministry of Works. So now NIMASA, MPA were under transportation. Now we are yanking them off
and taking them to the Ministry of Marine and Blue
That's not
Economy.
the debate. The debate is what are we doing with it, with the formation.
Which will still be coming to in the course of our conversation. I said, which will still be coming to in the course of our conversation this time. But then that still means that those that are looking out for Ministry of Maritime Affairs as against what we have now, Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy, they still don't have a point.
What will they be doing? What will they be doing in maritime affairs that is not economic? Are they just going to be doing maritime for the sake of maritime? You see, to me, that is just intellectual debate. You see, every split up has its advantage, has its disadvantage.
Okay.
For example, when you break up a ministry that should be working together, like look at the road construction. The Ministry of Work constructs the road. Ministry of Transportation manages the operations. So the ministry just construct, except there is a handshake. What is happening now? You find that the Ministry of Works will use political reasons and whatever, they will take a decision to take roads. Whereas the one that is operating it, that's transportation. We say, no, this is not our priority. This is the way it should be done. So for me, it's not really a debate that is worth troubling, whether you break it up or you synergize it or unify. All of them, it just depends on what you can do. What is your political will? What's your policy? Where are you going? Those are the issues, not the whimsical administrative structure, which is for convenience.
All right, and still on where are we going? For someone listening to us and still trying to have a grasp of the marine and blue economy, how best can you explain this concept?
Yeah, I've started, I mentioned it ago. By definition, globally, there are three components. It's an issue where you want to know how to exploit the resources in the ocean and how to protect them so that they will be there for generations to utilize. Then how to renew them to ensure they are not only continuously be there, but they will multiply, they will be more. That it is. It has various units. And the units could be many. Let me mention maybe 5, 6.
Okay.
One, there is the issue of marine biotechnology. So that is a whole unit by itself. Then you have those who do desalination. You know, ocean has a lot of salt.
Yes.
Like in Libya, when they want to convert ocean water into drinkable water, or they want to use it to agree. So that is another unit. Then there is the fisheries and aquaculture. That's a very huge. Well, that's what comes to mind to many people anytime they say maritime and blue economy. Then there is the transportation aspect of it, which is about shipbuilding, about ship and boat building, and about data collection, that is marine data collection. There is the one that we all love, oil and gas exploration in the sea. And of course, there is the tourism aspect of it. That is a huge economy. Nigeria has about 850 kilometers of coastline that we can convert to money. So these are all aspects of it. The shipbuilding, the boat building, the data collection, then the
are we going to add research. Logistics to it?
Yes,
logistics?
Of course. So all these are the entire gamut. Then, but because in 1916, when the idea was first started, what drove 35 out of 55 African countries to it was the insecurity in all those coastlines. Because you see, in Africa, which is the biggest continent, has 35 countries having direct access to the sea. And if you remember the issue of God of Guinea,
the Gulf of
piracy,
Guinea,
even in
attack.
Eritrea, in East Africa, there is that issue of insecurity.
I think with the Deep Blue project idea now, we are beginning to
the
smile
NASA
on our
now
waters.
started the Deep Blue Sea project, which is wonderful, but I have my worry with me. You may ask me, what are my worries about
what are they?
the Deep Blue?
What are they?
You see, the point is the maintenance cost is too high. We may not be able to sustain it.
Okay.
That's my worry. The technology, NIMASA has huge resources, but even then, it will be too heavy after some time.
But then someone will tell you this is the 21st century. The idea of technology is what we should embrace.
Yes, what we did is high tech. Tech not owned by us.
Okay.
We are not on top of it. We don't have the mastery. If a thing drops out of the cable, we have to wait until we get it. I have a preview to what is costing NIMASA. And at the Transport Summit, I've had to contribute to a debate that we must find a way to relieve, whether it will be because when the NIMASA project, Deep Blue project, got underway, it brought the insecurity in the region from the highest in the country almost to zero.
Yes.
But maintenance is a very huge source. So I will want African countries to buy into it.
Okay.
So that, the entire, because when you secure the Gulf of Guinea, you are not securing it only for Nigeria. Right from Ghana, Togo, Benin, Cameroon, Gabon, Angola. You are securing it for all of that, minus other international ship lines.
So that means
so everybody must find a way to assist. That's the biggest worry, sustainability.
All right, and so for some keen observers and industry experts, fine, you're also agreeing with them that the idea of the marine and blue economy is the right step in the right direction.
Yeah.
But then, with a lot happening with the current administration, looking at the first subsidy removal, do you feel we are going to make progress with this new ministry?
You see, let me say this, and I've said it anywhere I am. First subsidy removal, we have no option in it. We have no option. It's something that we delayed. In 2012, we ought to take it as a bitter pill. By now, our malaria will have gone. But we refuse. Now, we need an injection. We need really very strong injection. And that's the one we are taking now. And I tell you, if we refuse that injection, it is surgery. It's like diabetes. You may be cutting off our lung. Because we are borrowed up to the point where 90% of our revenue is being used to pay debt. A Nigerian listening. So, look, if they say, why do we not? We even have no money to borrow to pay it anymore. It was an NNPC that was subsidizing it. That is the money they would have been declared as profit or their business. And they said they have borrowed to the point that their operation will be grounded. So, first of all, I want to let Nigerians know that we have, in Yoruba parlance, we have ate the sari. Sari is the food you eat.
Food for
then
our
we are
Muslim
now
brothers and sisters when they want to fast in the morning.
Yes. So we now have to fast. We can't afford it. That's just, I don't know why the government itself is not telling Nigerians the truth. Even if you want the subsidy to continue, nobody is ready to borrow us, because Buhari was just borrowing money to subsidize our habit. Throughout West African sub-region, Nigerian oil, even as at today, at almost 600, is the cheapest. It's the cheapest. And if people say, if you start refining fuel, and na lie, pardon my pidgin, America is refining. The cost of fuel, petroleum product, is higher in America than Nigeria. It's higher. Ask any of your relatives that is in UK, that is in America.
Yeah, that's true, because they
it's
pay
higher than Nigeria. So
more.
all this, look, what pisses me off is, you see, because in my own family, Anytime there is any challenge, I call my family, they understand. We all adjust quickly. The government is not telling Nigerians the truth.
Sure.
They cannot go further. I mean, you are saying the president is courageous. That's why he was able to take the decision. I will tell you also a small Yoruba parable. It's very difficult to interpret, but a child, let me say it in Yoruba, then I will translate it.
Okay.
LASU ọmọ sọ́nà sínú igbó ẹ̀ ló láyà. So fẹ́ sunu igbó ni. Now, a child is coming in the night, and the light God met him in the jungle. He now made it home. You now said he is bold. It needs a greater courage to sleep in the jungle than to start coming home. So we need a greater income to continue subsidy. We cannot. We can just not continue.
So this only means that we should take our face and our eyes off the oil and begin to look into other industries.
That is the reason why somebody like Tinubu and his team knew that, look, I mentioned gas. Gas part of the resources. Gas, in the secondary school geography that I did, in the book, they will say Nigeria has gas and a little oil. And that is what we have been wasting. We've been a prodigal nation, just frittering away the gas that should be the main resource. We were just not thinking. So with the blue economy, the emphasis will now be, let's do the gas, let's do the mining. Even in the oil, there are more oil in the ocean. Like the most stable oil production and gas production is offshore. Those on the land, the pipes are being busted like child's play. Neither our pipelines, our gas pipelines are safe on land. It's on the sea. So it is now an ingenious way on the government side. It's like thinking outside, although it's not really a big thinking, because the process I told you started 2016.
Yes.
Immediately the government came. It was even Oshibajo that did the chairperson of the African conference on the sea. What are we going to do? But what drove them in the first place is the insecurity. Because 90% of African trade, everything that comes to you, comes through the sea.
Exactly.
So once the sea is not, it's like shutting down the continental economy. Everything you are bringing from Europe or you are taking from here to Europe is by the sea. So when insecurity wanted to choke us, so they met 35 African countries. And even those that are not on the coastline, that are landlocked, they too are praying that we are successful, because it is through us that they get
will also benefit from
the product. So it is important that we get the ocean right, the ocean blue economy, because it's very big. As I told you, the sea is 75% of the planet Earth. So you are just scratching. All of us who are struggling on the 25%. The entire continent, Africa, America, Asia, Australia, all of them put it together, they are less than 1/4 of the.
Professor Odewunmi, you are in the academic space. So when we look at all we've been discussing so far, talking about the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy, how much of it do we have in our academia?
In our
academia world, how much of this knowledge do people know in that space?
Well, if you think of it as a curriculum, very little. But if you look at the components, there's no part of it that we don't have experts and professionals. And it may look like it is one, but it is not one. I mentioned fisheries. Fisheries as disparate from any other subject as shipbuilding and engineering and biotechnology and tourism. So tourism, we have the best experts you can get in the world. Oil and gas, we have. I've mentioned fisheries and aquaculture. Then survey and hydrography, we have. So it is all these components, we have all it takes. We have all of them. There is no single part. If you count 10 of the part now, we can mention professors that is their area.
Oh.
So it's not new. It's just like amalgamation of those things that have been stained with other things. As I told you, is it port authority management that is a component of it that we lack experts when people have been getting PhD on port operations since Nigeria came into existence. So we have experts in every component of it. But what is important, which I want to say clearly and with all emphasis at my command, is that, you see, they were existing as individual units, doing their own thing. Now that they are brought together, the first thing the minister must do is to bring all those disparate people together and now chart a course. Because the Bible says, can you move together except you are in the same direction? You cannot be going left and be going right. So that is what the ministry, to coordinate all these expertise and resources so that all of them will say, okay, this is the motion. Like military, they will all match. Because no matter how big every unit is, if they are moving in different directions, they will just be conflicting. For example, if you are doing engineering, marine engineering or biotechnology, and it is at the beach where you want to use for tourism, it will drive tourists away. But if you all sit down and say, this is the way we are going to move, and this is where we want to get there, these are the KPIs, definitely you will move further. So the key word there is that they must come together and synergize and synchronize their program and have a policy.
But with the minister in charge, do you see a challenge?
Well, you see, ministerial appointments are administrative appointments. Because no matter how good you are, even if you are, for example, you are a medic, you are appointed as Minister of Health, there are still certain aspects of the health you won't be very good. If you are good in O&G, you will not be good as a surgeon. You may not be good as this, and you may not be good as a laboratory technology. You will not be good as a hospital administrator, which we also bring all of this together. So as a minister, all he has to do is that with good administrative and leadership skill, which I think then the minister, Oyetola, has as a governor who has administered a state and who has administered a vast empire of businesses. I mean, if you know, he's a very cool, calm person. Yes. So what he should bring to the table is to be able to pull all these people together and draw a roadmap for them and now sit back and supervise. So I'm not one of those. It helps. Occasionally it helps if you are in the field. But what field will it be in that we'll be able to say I'm an expert in it? I mean, even if you are DG NIMASA, that's the maritime, the ocean aspect. You are not NEWA, that is dealing with the inland. Yes. You are not a fisheries and aquaculture expert. You are not. So the expertise that is required is competence, capacity, character. Those are the three things that he will need to bring to the table. And me, as I said, I do not envy him because except he's not a minister like all other ministers that are jumping all about, hey, do this road, palliate that road, in Abuja now, bulldoze that building. He cannot do that. He must do more thinking because the Japanese people says, you're a Shina, you're a Kangai. Good thinking, good product. We should not expect quick return, but the greater the thinking, the greater the resources that can come. So he must not play to the gallery.
So this thinking you are talking about now, how long are we going to give him to think?
I said 6 months.
Okay.
I said 6 months. If you really want him to do a very thorough job, I know Nigeria are impatient, and it's very difficult to ask Nigeria to win. But you see, where we are now, the resources that are coming before will not stop. What Nimasa was bringing to the table will not stop. In fact, it could improve. Because you now have a minister that is looking at Nimasa that is the cash cow of the whole thing. NPA will not bring anything less than what they are bringing before. NIWA will not bring anything less than. Shippers Council will not bring anything that they're bringing before. Maritime University will not, although that's something that, I'm thinking of experts. We have maritime universities that are professors, on this matter. So if I will give him time, I will say, everything will remain as if it is calm
Okay.
for 6 months. And because of who he is, that I know him very well, he can do it. But I don't know whether Nigerians will give...
We allow him.
Because sometimes they will now start saying, we have not even heard anything from him. See Wike, that is, he hits the ground running. See Umahi has told the country, you just say sit down. So that's my worry for him, that they will not see his effort so quickly. But if they allow him to plan very well, bring all these expertise together so that they'll be able to move with the synergy.
Okay, so while we are also helping in that planning, let's talk about some of the opportunities that are available in this, new ministry, Marine and Blue Economy. What are some of these opportunities? Maybe parents listening will begin to see how they can also channel their word to, learning something in this regard.
You see, one thing that as somebody who has been in academics for years, off the cuff, as a general advice, what I will tell parents is that the age of traditional education is coming to a close. That is what we know. I want to do university. It's still going to continue. Because with that question you ask, you are saying, so we are opening up a new vista. Yes, it's a new vista. And all these courses have become tradition in the Western world.
And
in
some
the last
outdated.
Yes, gradually. We were in maybe Paris 3, 4, 5 months ago. Then somebody said, the course that will be bringing the highest income in the next 10 years are not known now.
I think I agree as well.
They are not known. Look at how ICT has blown up, has become the gold mine. You see, the first thing now that I tell is that they should, let me say another thing that we added to that. If you are alert, because to really catch the world at this present motion, the motion has been changing, but the speed at which it's changing now is horrendous.
Yes.
Now, and for you to catch a bird in flight, you have to shoot to the front.
Exactly.
So any child. Okay, let me go back to what I said as stage 2. Is that there are now courses that are non-degree courses, diploma, advanced diploma, certificates, that when you have it, it will give you 10 times what a degree will give you.
Really? But
Yes.
then, looking at our climb here, are we encouraging things like that?
And that's where we are. And the world has a way of dragging those who refuse to walk. If you don't look smart to know this bird that is flying, where is it going? You still continue to do your old things. The world will leave you and they will come and colonize you and use you as a slave. Look, some people are jackpying through the desert, as of today, I have invitation more than 50 establishment looking for Nigerians in different fields. Not only Nigerians, all over the world. And India is now at the peak. Let me tell you, about 5 to 10% of Indians now work in the developed world without leaving India. And they are earning their dollars. So back to your question, so that we will not forget it. Let everybody look at all these components and reflect. You see, taking a career decision is not taking as a herd mentality. This is where the cows are going. A smart cow will say, if I follow, they will just finish the grind. Let me go this way. Go into fishery and aquaculture. Go to energy and renewable. How can I use waves? Because some people are doing research on it now. You know all this move. You are not using it to generate energy and electricity. So it is for you to sit down, even if you are a mathematician. For example, most of my classmates that in the university that did mathematics, at least 60 to 70% of them are in computer today. They are software programmers. They just noticed that this mathematics, or those who did physics, all those people in the fundamental sciences, physics, chemistry, mathematics. Even if that's all you have, then you now look at, so how will I make it useful? Where there are problems, the first thing you do when you want to approach any of these units that are in the maritime industry now is, where is the biggest problem? Then come up with whatever you have that resides in you, because that's when we try to develop the entrepreneurial studies in NUC, Okebukola started it. We were part of his first guinea pigs that he used to write some curriculum aspect of it. Now, one of the key things, and that is all over Nigerian university now, is compulsory. And why? Is that whatever you learn, even if it is history, there is a problem that your history will solve. Look for it and provide solution. And money will follow you like shadow will follow you. So any subject could be turned in entrepreneurial in order to get it going.
So gone are the days where we have to think, in a particular line.
If it is literature you do, look at the content that is required in the social media. You say, okay, then we now have so many, like what we are doing now. It doesn't exist in the past. You have to have a gigantic radio station, you have to employ, you have to buy cars, but that's no longer, you now look at, okay, we need to create content. Content is now the gold mine. So it is, I advise everybody, parents, that whatever the children read, let them read it, but give them a week. And I'm telling the children too, go to about a week or two. Don't read papers, don't look at news. Think of, what is the problem I've identified and how can I solve it? That is the first thing. If you look, all the billionaires of the world today, the Mark Zuckerberg, the Microsoft, Bill Gates, look, what is the problem with Bill Gates when he became what was the problem he was trying to solve? You see, he himself is not very good at all this long formula. If you know to ask computer to do 2 plus 2 in those days, if you see how long the formula is, auto, control, delete, shift, this, you will then write a long one before it can execute it. Then you now say, look, this computer will never be useful for anybody because only those who can interpret and write these algorithms. We have that understanding. You now said, okay, let us be, so everybody can see and put a cursor. Let the execution of it be at the background. So any folder, computer became a tool for every stupid person. That you can just put a cursor and it will interpret what you want to do and it will do it, and that is it. So solving and he became the world richest man for decades, until he started giving his money away. He will look at this year, half of it away, and then another one. So he became the third or the fourth. And look at Zuckerberg. They said, look, how can we create a problem where people will be interacting? Don't think first, how will I make money
from it? Think
of what problem I will solve, and the world will pay you handsomely for it. So any of the areas, is it biochemistry, biotechnology, is it aquaculture, is it desalination? If you make desalination, how to make seawater drinkable in Lagos, everybody will not be drinking borehole. Immediately I will approach you. Then the gas is there. How do you convert your gas to this thing without much stress? So, to summarize my position, it is individual that we think. Because when you do common things, you get average outcomes, reward. But when you think well ahead, you are a pioneer in your direction. You solve. Look at Uber. The first person that she has no car. It's not that he has anything. He just say, people want to find it. We see how the whole world is paying. That. So I urge our people, don't complain about problems. Problems are the very basis. Let me say this one before I stop this thing, to illustrate to people. Problem is where money is. We should be thanking God. Look at what COVID has done to the world. When I was invited, I said, look, why can't we do it online? It's just that it's your preference. I do 90% of my meetings and my lectures online these days. Because even with the fuel money, You mean your master's student, they will not spend 50,000 to come from a Lekki side to LASU to come and do their lectures. So, but you just sit down at your home, we go over the material, and that's all. So the last one the example I want to give is when Dangote said he noticed that food will forever be a winner. There will always be a problem with food. So he has a section of his enterprise that deals with food, Indomie and tomato and all that. Secondly, he said housing. People, because one of the primary needs of human existence is housing. He now said, what do you need for housing? Cement. He said, yes, I will do cement that will be more than. You know, in the past, cement used to block our port. We call this cement armada. You have to get General Adekunle, a military man, to clear the port because of importation. Now we are exporting. He solved that. So, you see, when people identify a problem, it could be big, it could be small. That is your calling. Reflect very well. Don't let it be that, it is what Taye is doing that Kehinde will do. It is not what they are doing. Then following the old tradition. Then go on the internet. It's now the resources of mankind. You have courses that you will do 3-4 months. It will bring you more reward. For example, you may just look at, how do we look at chickens that you eat now? You know, they don't need a male to climb all of them to yield the eggs that we are eating. They just produce the eggs. You mean, the fish, today you have to inseminate them, bring out, but in aquaculture, is there something I can do that the fish will just not lay egg immediately they reach certain age? So look for problems and provide solution in about 15 or 16 departments that will be in the ministry.
Still talking about solutions, Professor Odewunmi. Now the current administration has taken the bull by the horn by introducing this new ministry, talking about the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy. But then many of the challenge people have had in the industry and is still existing is the fact that we do not have the policy framework to do so many things and to make us, competitive in the international market. So how do we begin to change the narrative?
You are going back to my foundation. That is now the challenge of Oyetola. Yeah, that is the challenge. You must be able to, and I told you I did not envy him. The truth is, people think taking time to think things through is a waste of time, and that's one of the bane of our. When you start acting without planning, you are just going to be muddling through. Your error will be so costly. So what I advise is that policy must be developed. People don't know that, because most people will say, the truth is we have so many plans, but it is implementation. The truth is, the very truth is that most of our policy are wishy-washy. We are impatient. We load our policy document with beer parlor ideas that are not well thought through. And when we now start operating it, we now find it.
Is it because many a time we do not have professionals handling this?
In many instances, professionals are not even invited. In Nigeria, we have what we call inversion. Inversion of talent. In geography, in fashion, normally, hot hair should sit on cold hair. So because very soon it will start going on and it will bring rain. But if you have inversion, it means cold air is sitting on hot hair, and therefore it will keep it down. It will not rain. It will just become mist. When you are traveling and you see that cloudy thing that does not allow you to see, it is because you have an inversion. An inversion is never productive. It's not a productive cloud. It will not bring rain. It will just darken people's vision. So in Nigeria, the worst of our talents are up because of our political selection process. The good ones are below them. So to raise them up becomes a very, very serious matter. So you say they do not call them. So even when they call them, the person will say, please give me that one. You are wasting too much time. Let me go and read. I need to go and read something. And document we produce. Then two,
responses.
you see, as terrible as things are in the academic, in the profession, in everywhere, the very good ones are not ready to kowtow, to be handling after politicians, that they feel they are empty heads. Naturally, you feel like, look, I can eat by me. By the time I write 2 research grants, I'll be okay. So it's only extremely hungry academics that will now go and be. Personally, I can't wait. I mean, I remember one professor went to see a minister, Professor Adedipe. The governor said, you should see me by 2. He got there, he's always there on time. In fact, he was around, but 1:45, he walked into the office. By 1:45, Professor Adedipe stood up and said, I'm going. Next time, let him invite me again, I will come. If I have the time. So there is that problem that is going on now. But occasionally, good ones are identified. And another problem is, sometimes it is very difficult for them to perform because the whole environment is heavy. That is, it puts so much obstacles on your path that even your family will say, which one be your own? Your own family in the house. I have a mentor who, I can't mention his name. The family is currently the children and even sometimes the wife. Now you only did there. Look, you will go to hotel, you will not sleep in high hotel. The man was complaining to me because we were together last week. Say, look at this food, 25,000. You ask his PA to go and get food, 3,000 from outside. So it's government money, eat it now. He said, no. Okay, we have, booked a suit of 250,000 for you to sleep. He said, no. Now look, I have hotel that will give me 25,000, 30,000. All I need is a laptop and my table. And so it's not easy, but we hope this government has a network of very good people. And you see, people who can assemble brilliant, like Tinubu did in Lagos. Because if you see anybody that's able to assemble brilliant minds, then you are likely to see a general movement in that direction, because he will not be averse to advice from the eggheads, because sometimes eggheads are irascible, they appear rude. So, but leaders that can manage eggheads will go very far. And one of the biggest successful industrialists said, my job and the reason for my success is ability to assemble those who are brilliant, more brilliant than myself. He assembles them and he manages them without their cantankerous nature. So, if you know anybody that has been in the cabinet of Fashola, we know that it's always debate. It's debate. Everybody, they will tear themselves apart. So, I believe we have a chance now. I just pray nothing goes miserably wrong.
Okay.
But you see, all these things take time. Thinking takes time. With this ministry, my greatest worry is that it may not be allowed to think it through. And that's back to your last point on policy framework. We must get it right. If you don't get it right from the foundation, we will just be wobbling and fumbling.
So looking at it again, Professor Odewunmi, we all know that, our reliance on oil is just out of here. But now we are beginning to see that there's another ministry that can, take us even bigger than our reach currently. So how do we help the current administration and get it well with our country using this marine and blue economy?
I will mention 3 things that are general. Then maybe 1 or 2 things that are particular. If we will make it in any line, we must also solve the insecurity problem. We must address that. It is dealing with us on land, but in the sea, it is anathema. Immediately they hijack one ship. The news is on the CNN. And once it's on the CNN, forget it. You will need 10 times assurances that problem is no longer there. So, will you do tourism on a coastline that they are kidnapping?
Not at all.
So therefore, I call it the first condition for us to move forward. And the president paradoxically said it when he was campaigning, and that's the name they call it, Agbado. And he said, look, I will employ 5 million youths, put them everywhere, give them how to defend the land. What will they eat? Agbado, cassava, and whatever it is. That means it is cheap. Look, I've suggested that the $5 billion you are giving to state free of charge, $800 million that you got from the World Bank, and you want to give to 12 million families. Say, look, don't give them for free. Ask them to bring one able-bodied member of their family. Be paying him and recruit him into the vigilante to ensure there is no kidnapping, there is no murder, there is no banditry, there is no nothing. 12 million. Boots on the ground. So when military clears, they will be the one to. You are paying them. Awolowo in his life said, I will rather ask a person, a worker, a young man, to dig a hole and fill it to pay him, rather than paying him for not doing anything. So by the time you are giving money, you are giving people fish and deny them opportunity to go to the river to go and pick the fish that they will eat. So you are that's the one aspect of the World Bank that I really detest. How can you borrow me money and say I must give it to my people free of charge? It promotes laziness, indolence, and sense of entitlement on the part of the. So security is key. Okay. It's number one. Then number two, although that may be partially number one, but because it is more difficult to achieve, our value system is something else. As long as we are averagely what we are, we will continue, no matter anything good we do, there will be, as some people are moving to the right, some people are. Look at the second Niger bridge. They're already dismantling it. Well, look at our rail line. They are dismantling it. So our value system, this government must, the National Orientation Ministry or Commission must sit on it. Call the media. Thank God it's so easy these days. Social media should not be about nudity and sex leak tape and all those things. There are things you can put there on the media. Ask people, good outfits like this, to continue to produce materials that will be generated from high thinking. Let it be on social media. Let people be going through it to re-energize our values. Let it be done at every level. So we need to work if we are going to solve the problem on the fundamental. So those are the key for security, our value system. And thirdly, we really have to work on the political class. Okay. Because they are the leaders, whether you like it or not today. Let them take themselves to somewhere. Just as you are doing it for the entire nation, but because they are the one on seat, we must, for instance, if there is a way to change the rule and say, before people vote for you, you must have a profession. Okay. Look, you are a journalist. We know your establishment. We can now say, okay, you can contest the election once you win. So immediately you win or lose, you have a place to come back to. The urge to steal and steal and steal. But our law now says that immediately you go, you must resign. We need to change what I call inversion. Get our best talents to be at the top. They are the ones that can lift us and lift the society. So those are basic need. But when you come to the secondary items, and if I want to stay on the maritime industry, the first thing is that all of these agencies need to work together. Okay. To pull in the same direction. Then we will get a huge multiplier effect. So these are basic things. So then the rest will be handled by whichever minister. All right,
so Professor Odewunmi, even as we begin to do our buys this time, what will be your message to the Tinubu's administration? General
or particular?
General.
General, what I said, he must do everything to bring the insecurity down. You see, nobody, you can't go to the farm to produce the food. Then you are putting money and say, give people money to buy fertilizer. They bought fertilizer last year. They did the farming, but they cannot go there to reap it because the boundary have driven them. I have killed all of them. So for me, Mr. President, it is important for you to, look, if you spend 30-40%, Nigerians are enterprising. If they are safe, they know they can go from one point to the other. They can. Then for acute problem, number one, the removal of subsidy has created a problem. The palliative should not be addressed to consumption. It should be addressed to production. Now, you removed fuel subsidy, so transportation price went up. Cost. That's the only thing that went up. Find a way to bring transportation costs down. Ensure you invest the money on CNG infrastructure to bring down the cost. CNG dispensing unit, that every petrol station you get to will be able to give you gas, electricity, and petrol and diesel. So that you must solve the energy. Those are very, very acute. But the most acute, Mr. President, this strike of labor, do all it takes to stop it. Labor strike is going to worsen a very, very worse situation. Because the last strike they had was not total. But because government seems to think that because it was not total, it does not bite. By the time they shut down petrol, Peng, they shut down petrol station, they shut down power, NEPA, nothing. They lost to the country, a country that is at gasping for breath from removal of fuel subsidy. Then we will now go and carry a big club and be hitting his head. Let them grant labor hardship allowance and quickly finish the minimum wage increase. Because you may say they are just 5% of the population. They are the one feeding about 70 to 80, because for every person that is earning salary, there are 4 or 5 people around such people. Then find a way to salvage the naira. The way naira is doing kamikaze, tumbling all over the place. It means there's nothing you do. The inflation will keep jumping. And what do? Ensure that, look, send the Ribadu. Stop asking him to be following you around. He should secure the pipelines so that we can increase our production to at least 2 million barrels per day. Once we do that, we will have excess liquid, hard cash, foreign cash, solid dollars to defend the naira. And it is because as at now, they are in the deep hole. They could not defend the naira as they should. Once they have sufficient money to defend the naira, then we will stabilize a bit. Then the labor must be given something. Go and write it. Without giving them something, Tinubu no go sleep for us.
Thank you so much, Professor Samuel Odewunmi. He is the former Dean, School of Transport, Lagos State University, LASU. Together, we have been focusing on powering Nigeria through the blue economy, opportunities and options for the Tinubu administration, and that's how far we will go. Thank you so much for joining us. Folashade Aderomo is my name.